Okay, this time I know I'm recording. It was interesting because I pressed share the screen and my previous software would just automatically start recording. This time I share the screen, a little notification comes up and it covers the record button, which I need to press in this case. So that's why you didn't get it last time. My apologies. So we just talked about that form and data collection. This is the way we send data to the server. So in that theme, because this really is building upon that exact same concept, we're going to use this what we just reviewed to log a user in, and give that user special privileges. All right, so we're going to use something called sessions, and this isn't too far afield from that mysterious params hash. It is just another hash. But it's very useful in dealing with what we call a stateless protocol. More on that in just a moment. We'll talk about redirecting after a login. So this can mean a couple of things, right? So you log in, where do you go once the user's authenticated? Sometimes you go back to the main page. Sometimes you go to some account information or wherever it may be. Or where do you go if you're already logged in and then you just go directly to some protection? I guess we don't have to redirect. Scratch that. All right, and we're also going to talk about helper methods. I think these are properly called view helpers because although I do use them here and there, I think that they're usually intended to help render a view. And you'll see what those do when within the context of user authentication. Okay, so now the big problem with HTTP is that there is nothing built into it that allows you to track one request from another. So you guys go to whatever pages you go to. I don't know. I've been using Instagram. I always use Facebook. I've always used Facebook. Like, how is it that you can click on a post or click on a friend's profile and still log in? That is kind of like the magic that's happening with web applications. Because in HTTP, there's nothing built in that will let you do that. You might even authenticate, and then immediately the server is going to forget that you already authenticated and ask you to authenticate again every time you need a protected resource. That's the way it's designed. So well, at least in Sinatra, and I think this is actually a fairly universal concept, we have this idea of sessions within these web application frameworks. I don't know of any exceptions. But we have this idea that we can just kind of keep a little bit of information about our user in memory all the time. Just assuming that a user's going to sit down in a session. It could last anywhere from 15 minutes, maybe to 2 hours, and not during that time, the server will remember that this user logged in. So you've heard of these things called cookies. That is what enables this. So. Sorry, I know there was like a lot of knee-jerk, maybe rightful mistrust of cookies once upon a time, but they're with us and they are vital to, they're a vital ingredient of this whole mix here. The cookie is what gets sent along with every single request. Now, there's, as you already know, there's a few different kinds of requests. There's get requests, there's post requests, delete, put patch requests. When you set a cookie in the user's browser, at least using it in this manner, you now have a little bit of extra data going along for the ride with each transmission. So you make a request, the number stored in a cookie gets sent along so that the server or the application can dip into its session, say, well, here's the key that I've been provided. Give me the value that matches this information. So here is a get or a post. This is kind of what I was just describing. We should even look at this in real life. So this is, you can use your browser inspector to view this information. Let's take a look. What's a good one? We can even just try this. So this right here, network. kind of space there for a second. This is what we're looking at basically. See the request URL. Oops, let's double check. So yeah, the method, the URL, and cookies. And I'm not entirely sure. Here's a bunch of cookies. Here's the rack session. So it's already setting a session for me. It's just that assumption. But all of this stuff, every single request now that I make, no matter where it's to this particular application, is going to be looking for this key, which it matches up to a value, which it then retrieves for the user. All right. So the HTTP response, was that the request or the response we just looked up? I brought that slide up a little bit prematurely. This is the request. Let's try that again. Let's see if we can find the response. Here's the response. And so this is what, when you say ERB new or index or whatever you're rendering, this is what the server is sending back. Should have a preview of that. No. And cookies. So this is the one, I think this was the request. And no response cookie. Okay. Well, that was kind of a fruitless pursuit there, but yeah, you get a cookie back as well. And when you log in, this is what's going to be set. So, redirects are those 302s you see in that thing we were just looking at. What do I want to say this? There's, for beginner programmers, I don't think you're immediately going to see the difference between rendering a view and sending it back to the user like we did just in the response, or redirecting the request back to a different route. There's a very practical reason why we do this upon authentication, and this is kind of what these slides are chasing, is that we redirect after success so that we don't mistakenly send data twice. This makes it impossible for that to happen. So I'm kind of getting maybe a little bit more high level on something that really isn't super relevant, but yeah, that's why we redirect. Any questions about that? No. Okay, so helpers. I call these view helpers. We define these typically so that you can change something on your page, something on what's actually going to be sent back in the response. This is just defined in actions.rb, so it's not any different than your routes, except for the fact that it's wrapped in this helpers do block. Right? So you put helpers do, you put an end, and any method you define inside of that begin and end is now available to your views. And you see an example here where we're calling it logged in. Is the user logged in? Question mark. In Ruby, the question mark, this isn't a rule, it's just a convention. But if you stick a question mark onto the end of something, you can expect a Boolean value in response. So it's either going to be true or false. So if the user is logged in, well, show the user how to log out. Doesn't need to see another login button. If he is logged out, so if this returns false, show him a link to log in, right? Very simple, very, I think, self-explanatory as to why we do it that way. So, but of course, when we're talking about this log out, and this is always spoiling the mystery because no one ever gets it because I always just tell them how it happens. We've been talking about sessions this whole time. And sessions allow the server to remember that I'm logged in, that this is one user interacting and making requests and not just a whole bunch of potentially pseudo-random people. The session is what keeps that user alive in memory. So when the user is ready to leave, just erase the memory. You click on logout. It says get logout. This is again in your actions.rb. Just clear it. Set user ID to nil. Or this is much more simple. Just say session.clear. Sets everything back to 0. The user the server forgets that the user was ever logged in, and the user is in a position where he can now leave his laptop unattended. Well, within reason, right? Maybe he's at the library. I'm not sure. Wherever you're going to use this, you want to make sure you log out. That's how it happens. Let's do that now. All right. So, same kind of pattern. We were deploying functionality that will allow us, or has now allowed us, to add a new city to our list of cities. Now, in this current state, of course, anyone can come along and just add any crazy thing they want, right? There's no way to control who's posting to your page. Naturally, we should create some sort of authentication. So I think you guys already did the user sign up, or at least that was already in the slide. So we're just going to assume user set by my C. The C's that I started with: Tokyo, London, and Mexico City. Here's my user, Daniel@example.com, and my password is secret. So I need some way just to take this information from the user and ensure that my password matches what's in the database. So first thing I need is actually a form. This is where I started last time, right? The first thing I did was I went and I created a new form to collect information. Let me gather that up. All right. In fact, I'm just going to take this right off of the slide. Right, you saw that example where we're calling this if log method. This doesn't exist, of course. But, I only want to allow a user to add a city if that particular user already provided valid credentials. If not, then, give the user the opportunity to go present those values. This is going to crash right now if I run it. Any guesses why? Because logged in is not defined. That's what I'm going to say. Undefined method, logged in. This has to happen inside of the actions.rb file. Again, this is lift right off the side. So if you want this for your reference. Whoops, where we go. It's easy enough to go see it for yourself. So when I define helpers, I put them up right at the top. So this is stuff you've already been familiar with. This one, those all cities. This is when we define, add a new city, and this is the action, the city. But right up at the top, I'm going to add this to the help. And again, this is that mysterious, that hash, params hash. Where's it come from? Right? It's there. It's just always there. Same with session. Well, no, that's actually not true. You have to enable this, but yes, it is. It's enabled. This is always there. So let us look. So now we can do this, but when we press login, Sinatra's not going to know that data. Okay, so let's, I like to copy and paste. That's what I've been doing this whole time. Grab that guy, back RB. When Sinatra doesn't know Diddy, it's because it hasn't defined rate. So I say login, hello world. Okay, so we don't need this. We need a login form. All right. So this is a brand new, and rather than varying of watching it in, I'm going to copy and paste right into file right here. Login.erb. Okay, quick tour. Here's that first thing again, right? It's going to come a day when you try to save something to the database and it's not going to be able to do it for some reason. It's a really good idea and a very safe expectation to tell the user some indication as to what is wrong with the data or what happened. That all happens here. So there's the form tag that we talked about. Those two very special attributes: escapable, the action, and the method. The method is either get or post. The action is where that point there, and do the same we did before. Just yourself to help you get bearings. And this is where we actually collect the data. And we're taking pictures, just an email, and we set the email. Oh, actually, I didn't do that. I should set this to email, so that'll give me that little bit of front-end validation. Won't actually try to send some bad data. It's good to it's good to offload that responsibility wherever you can. And it takes the password. Of course, this is also a typed password, so you can't see my secret password. So I save that. Come back to here. Still doesn't, well, it doesn't know the city, but now it's just showing you that params hash. I didn't actually send anything. All right, let's try that again. We got to go to login. Actually, that was a silly. I'm just gonna jump right to this and do that weird little trick. Right? So there's the u.u. So just so you don't have to check existence every single time, and login, just like that. Right. Now we should be wired up. I press that log button on the front page. It should take me to the right place. There we go. Okay, so email and password. We're gonna have a. I'll spare you. We're gonna have a Notcher doesn't know this Diddy thing. Well, I'm not gonna spare you. I changed my mind. You're gonna have to witness this. Here's Daniel at example.com and secret. So Notcher doesn't know this Diddy. He's telling me. Okay, let's grab it. Grab that code that is so helpful. Paste it into actions.rd. That's what it's thinking. She was saying, okay, let's show what's in those params. Inspect. So I just sent Daniel at example.com and secret password. So there it is, stored in that mysterious params hash, which I suspect is getting less and less mysterious. All right. So obviously this isn't so great. We want to actually the database, make sure that this user provides the password, and want to sing once that's either been confirmed or proven correct. So I fill in those login like this. What am I doing here? Right where the cursor is, it's just saying find by this email. We know that there was an email backing in the hash somewhere, right? There it is right there. I can retrieve that email and say, well, find this user from the database. If this user exists, it'll get assigned to the. So then we'd say, okay, well, does the password, now obviously this isn't encrypted, right? This is actually not that big a deal, but time permitting, we'll encrypt it. But we're just checking. We're saying, well, does the password I've been given, this one here, which is this one right here, does this password match the one currently stored in the database? If it does, then we save that session ID. So this is where that magic, right? This is what's allowing the app to know that this user has authenticated, not just forget the next second or the next request, I should say. Session is set. There's a redirect. This sends you back to the home page. And if you did not, maybe the user doesn't exist, then go back to the login. Let that person try again. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to make sure to do this right because I haven't given myself a way to log out. So I'm going to log in with the correct credentials. All right, so now the difference, whereas this used to be log in, now I can go in and add a city because I have it. So let's try this out. Edmonton. I got nothing but Edmonton. I've only been there one day. So maybe if I'd been there more, I would like it less. But I got no problem with those guys. There we go. That looks very representative of Tinford. There we are. Oop. Image URL and create. So since I've been logged in, I've had this information set in this session, and every single time I request to do something like that, I got that little bit of information from the cookie. The cookie is piggybacking along the ride, which enables the server to draw on or at least populate that session's parameter. So Edmonton's down here, by the way. We got Coast City, Calgary, and Edmonton. There we are. Okay. What are we missing? Missing something pretty important. Well, yeah, that is pretty important. But no, I'm thinking even just in terms of, maybe I went to a public computer or I was using a computer at someone's house. I don't have a way to log out. Yeah, exactly. So if I were to leave it like this, you'd have to, and even turning off the browser, you'd have to go in and clear out the cookies, right? That's the only way that you have to make the browser forget. And that is a security problem, right? Because someone could go in, grab your cookies in some elaborate heist and, start making up cities that don't exist and, whatever, right? You got to have a way to log in. So we grab this, we grab a brand new route. Now, let's take a look at what we've actually got, right? To kind of remind us, because I've been doing a lot of copying and pasting. We don't really have like a home button, and I think it'd be nice to have like a log button here. So I'm going to add a little more ERB, and we're going to do it in my layout because it should be something available on every page. Okay, so I come back here. Here's my layout. So the box that all the reviews get into. This is a question. Have you been to Edmonton? And we can use that session number logged, right? It's going to ask, given the cookie that you received, and have you checked the session? Does this user exist, or do you know this user? If you do, then that opportunity to log. Right? So, haven't actually added any functionality. I've just added a component to my interface, and that's there. That's the win on the. I just ran out of time. So there's my logout button. That doesn't do anything. Watch. Sinatra doesn't know that, did he? Okay, let's fix that. Logout. Back in action.erb. And there I am. So I just defined routes. If I log out now, I'm not really doing it, right? Again, this is just me being super repetitive because I can't speak for anyone here, but I need to go over and over again. The session is what keep remember live, right? You clear that session, the server forgets you, you're live, like you were never there. Whoops. All right. Session dot clear. The other option is what's in the slides. This is the one presented to. It actually looked like this. In fact, these have been pretty much the exact same thing. In fact, they might actually be the exact same thing, like under the hood. One way I'm deleting the information, other way just to know. It's like it never existed. I think the second way, or the way first, is much cleaner. I'll leave it like this. If I do this, though, it's just going to be left hanging. Watch what happens. So I'm here, I come back, I go to a blank screen. Because I didn't actually tell it to go anywhere, right? So this is where we do one of those redirects. It's not kind of the same reason why I had my complex high loop reading. This is just because I didn't actually add anything. I got to go more of this. We're not going to enter and do because we want to get off of this path, right? If we just sat here on the logout path, the user refresh browser, you get logged out again. So we don't want that. We want to go say redirect slash, right? Slash the root. So refresh. Now I'm home. There we are. There's all my city. So Calgary and Edmonton. Let's do a run through. Log in. I do it the wrong way one time. Let's try. Well, I don't have Daniel like example.ca, so it should give me some errors. Oh no, that is not good. Do we have enough time to fix it? I think we do. Oh, that's why. All right. So what happened here is that Sinatra dipped into the database, came to here, and it looked for Daniel example.ca. Of course, it doesn't exist, so this got returned nil. Since it's nil, if I try to call a password method on a nil object, it's going to be this one. No method error for nil. Nil doesn't have a password method. This is what it's telling me. So I got to do a test here. I could say, what should I do? Return ERB. Yeah, that's not work. Look at this. I think this might just be this way. So if user and user.password saying it's nil. If user, if nil is false. You might not know that might be self-evident, but if you Boolean, if you put it into a logic, it will always evaluate to false. So if user is nil, then it's immediately false because I have this and condition. And it reruns log. It's not going to give me much information, but let's not worry about that too much. Yeah, what happened? Oh, there it goes. No. a full message. What? Oh. All right. Okay, this is a much bigger problem. We're not going to deal with it right now. But then again, we do have 9 minutes. How bored are you guys? Is this like super boring or is this awesome? I like this though. I can't tell. A lot of people don't like what I do. Yeah, we should get Kevin up here. Why would you fix this, Kevin? Just testing because we know how to use it again. Here's the problem. We can work on this together. So this is a current, authenticate kind of thing we've got. And I'll put this a little bit smaller. Okay, so it works. If I go and I sign in with an existing user, no big deal. I can go there, I can add a new city. If I got a city, do all this stuff. Maybe I just want to log out. The problem, and I think this is probably a pretty well-established pattern, but what if I try to authenticate with someone that doesn't exist? And you should be able to anticipate what's happening. No method, no user. What would you do?
So
now this was the initial index. That's not good enough.
Right, you want to update your else so that you're re-rendering the page.
If we do that,
errors, right?
if we do that, this is what I'm. Oops, this is what I'm hearing. Which will solve the problem. Is what you're doing?
Well, yeah, you need something.
You do.
If you're redirecting back to login, you need a blank user and like an error message.
I think we need to hijack that whole thing to begin with. The reason this isn't going to work, right, is because if there's some sort of error in this, or shoot. Oh. We just an error.
On your edition.
Here, come. Use Vim.
Yeah. So if you use 30 as if, it just evaluates the user if it finds that. So you don't have to run any tests.
But then it's still going to have split. We still have to leave that though.
Yeah.
But that's really missing is an error message, right? Like that password or something didn't go right. All right. Well, that's for extra credit, I guess. I don't know. This is probably a pretty well-established pattern. I'm actually kind of, I was kind of doing this just now, like a few hours ago. But any questions? All right. You guys, you want to? Okay, well, we can spend time on this. If you guys are free to work, I'll keep the camera rolling. So yeah, this is not hokey. Really, what we should do is just find a way to make error. So let's say add error message. So clearly, I just looked this up not too long ago. This is gibberish.
So if your object, what that was saying is like, well, you don't, yeah, you know that. But if your object is an active record object, like user, you can just say user.errors.add.
Oh, we can just do this. Yeah, user.errors. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Let's do that. Okay, I got a better idea. Okay, I'm gonna make a new user. This one, if user. Right? The only way they're going to fire is if this calls true. So nil has a nil class, and that will turn true if it's nil. So if user is nil, get a brand new user. But now, how do we do the error then?
Add them on your else statement.
Yeah. Okay, so user.error. And I just copied that thing and see if I still got it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say password. We'll just say the password's all wrong. And this is the test. Oops. Do I need this further? I think we get rid of that. Right? Passwords don't match. Insert that password message there. That was kind of empty. Does that look right?
Error.
Yeah. Or fan just in general. I don't want this either, right? We don't need this anymore. Oh yeah, that's what I'm curious about. What is the standard approach? Oh. Oh, that's because I got password hashing. No, that's hilarious. This is what I just went with before I came. Oh, I can't have a nil password. All right, this is getting sad now. I was doing that exact same thing, so password confirmation and bcrypt, and I couldn't figure out how can I use password confirm, like to make them so they match, without causing the problem. There it is. Okay, so now exact convention. Try that again. City. Log out. Log in. This is the good one. I'll just misspell it. And now it doesn't look exactly good. Passwords don't match and it does crash, and that accounts for a lot of things. So if I correct it, so now this is the correct one. Or if this is the correct email, I can put my password's secret, but I'm just going to add a lot of garbage in it. This is going to match. Password doesn't match, right? So whether it's the email or it's the password, that's how they do it on Unix, even if the user doesn't exist. It's that password doesn't match. Okay, that's it, unless there's questions. No?